Hey guys, it's Anna. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite rose fragrances. And the note of rose is definitely a tricky one for me. For the longest time I thought we would never get along, but here we are. Like over the years I've accumulated quite the rose collection. I'm picky with it, but I've absolutely found fragrances that I love. So the first one I wanted to talk about is from the house Brandt. This is Genesis, actually the first fragrance they came out with. This is a beautiful, very smooth rose saffron woody fragrance. I think Brandt does a really good job with creating fragrances that are quite likable, and they all definitely have this sophisticated tone to them. They're very chic, classy fragrances. I remember smelling this for the first time and just feeling like this was romance bottled. This could absolutely be someone's signature scent. The rose comes across very velvety. The saffron lifts it up in a nice way, gives it a beautiful, airy, whimsical touch, and then you have these woody notes, but this doesn't smell like a heavily woody fragrance to me. Like I don't smell this and it smells like a bunch of, dry wood. Instead, it grounds it in a nice way. It has a smooth cashmere-like texture to it. There's a bit of cassis in the mix to give the rose a bit of a berry-like tone, and I get about 4 hours with moderate projection. Next up, we have Lancome Idole Aura. This is by far, for me, the standout of the Idole line. This is a beautiful, warm, solar, salty vanilla floral, and I really like that the salt isn't heavy with this one. Sometimes when it comes to salty vanillas, they go heavy-handed with the salt, and that can be bothersome for me, but it's the perfect amount in here where you're still getting, that beachy experience, but this doesn't, straight up smell like your beach perfume, if you will, but it does scream summer. There's a solar vanilla to lightly sweeten things up, and then you get a mix of jasmine and rose. Very youthful, modern florals. This is a big compliment getter for me, and just overall, it's a very joyful fragrance. A very easy reach perfume, and I get about 7 hours with moderate projection. Next up, one of my top two from the brand, Nihilo Brompton Immortals. This is an incredibly enchanting rose. If you were to ask me what perfume in your collection smells like an enchantment, a spell, immediately my mind goes to this. There's something very magical about Brompton Immortals for me. And I've mentioned this before, but when I smell this, my mind goes to the enchanted glowing rose from Beauty and the Beast. It's got a bit of this mysterious factor to it, and it's got a combo that I am absolutely hooked on. I love the combo of rose and saffron. I think it is killer. I own multiple rose saffrons, but I've got to say, this is my favorite. So of course we have rose. Saffron makes this smell incredibly exotic. There's some pink pepper in the mix to also add some spice. It's got this creamy vanilla to bring in this alluring sweetness, and then there's a smooth resinous feel, a bit of patchouli in the base. It's so beautiful, and I get about 7 hours moderate projection. If you want something that smells bold, powerful, you are looking for something that smells rich, I would recommend Nishane Nefs. This is a very expensive perfume at full retail price. I advise against paying that retail price and getting it at a discounter. I got mine at Joma Shop, heavily discounted. This is deep, woody, boozy. It's got that saffron, some syrupy sweetness to it. This has a lot of notes listed, and a lot of these notes are more intimidating for me. I'm very picky with honey, oud, fig, leather, cinnamon. Like, it's got a bunch of notes that I was wary of. I wanted to try this because I heard so many great things about it, but I was expecting not to like it, but I was pleasantly surprised when I got my sample. Eric loved it right away, and he's like, you have to get a bottle of this. And everyone I've shown this to is like, oh my gosh, they go like crazy over it. It's very powerful. You only need a couple sprays. It lasts all day. It fills a room. And even though there's a lot going on in this one, the execution is very refined. There is a syrupy sweetness to this from the honey and the vanilla, but it's very luxe. It isn't overwhelmingly, sticky sweet. There's a prominent saffron in here, so you've got to be down with that note. The woody notes give it a darkness, but there's no animalic or kind of dirty feel to this scent that sometimes you can get from leather or oud. They really give this fragrance its sophisticated tone. And then there's a warm amber and whiskey in the base as well. Next up is Nihilo Blonde Redhead. The brand kindly sent this over for me. I chose this perfume and it was love at first sniff for me. I was really intrigued by Blonde Redhead because of the inspiration for this fragrance, and it just looked like it was going to be my cup of tea. Nihilo fragrances are all inspired by dreams. So Blonde Redhead was inspired by a dream of a chic Parisian woman walking into a bakery filled with cakes, macaroons. She has strawberry blonde hair, a bouquet of freesia in one arm, shopping bags in the other. Her smell of blonde tobacco mixes with the scent of vanilla pastries, and she chooses a cake adorned with rose petals and figs. It goes on a bit, but that is essentially the picture. This is a beautiful, creamy, feminine gourmand with floral aspects. It heavily smells like strawberries to me, although not listed. I think that intention was there due to the name being Blonde Redhead or strawberry blonde. So the notes selected create a beautiful strawberry-like aroma. It smells like a decadent, specialized cake, like one from a mom and pop shop that only like the locals know of, and they always have these very unique, beautiful creations. So this smells like a strawberry vanilla cake with fresh pink rose petals and white chocolate curls adorning the cake. There's a creaminess from fig milk, and there's dates adding sweetness, but it's not a dense fragrance. Dates can easily go into that direction, but it's not heavy. The saffron really adds a whimsical quality to it. And I love the blonde tobacco grounding it. It adds depth without it becoming dark. It's stunning. And I will say, if you've tried Amouage Sunshine Woman, the blonde tobacco in that fragrance is more prominent than it is in here, for reference. And I get about 6 hours with moderate projection. I know this is nothing new, but Delina was the first rose perfume I ever fell in love with, and I fell in love hard. And it is still my number one. I love the Delina DNA. I have also the Exclusif with me, which I will review in a moment. This was so incredibly successful. We have seen the Delina DNA pop up over and over and over between a bunch of different brands, other houses taking inspiration, creating their own twist. And so I love a ton of fragrances with that Delina DNA, but still these two remain my favorite. Lychee and rose is just a stunning combination. Those two notes complement each other so well. And one reason I love Delina so much is that it checks a lot of boxes for me. It suits a lot of different occasions. It simultaneously smells incredibly sensual. This is a sexy perfume. I feel incredibly beautiful, very feminine every time I wear this. And it also smells very sophisticated, classy. This suits a professional environment as well. It's kind of a chameleon in that way. It suits a lot of different vibes. She's just show-stopping for me and gets me crazy compliments from men and women. I love how the rose is done in here. It's pink, fresh, modern. It's accompanied by peony. It just screams pink. And then you get the juicy, fruity sweetness from lychee. There's a unique tart twist from the rhubarb, which I personally love. So it definitely has more of a bright presence to it in the opening. And as this dries down, it becomes more sensual, more creamy. The vanilla amps up. You're getting that smooth musk. There's a touch of woodiness and incense. It's spectacular. And with both Delinas here, I get incredible performance. They project strongly and last me all day. Moving to the Exclusif, this is a more powdery take on the profile. It also has a bit more depth to it, so this suits better fall and winter. You can wear this spring, fall, winter. The original Delina I wear year round. There's a stronger vanilla presence in here. There's the addition of pear adding to the creamy factor, and you don't have rhubarb in here. So if you'd rather do without that note, then I would give the Exclusif a try. Also, comparing the two, I would say that the Exclusif feels more grown woman to me. Both of them do, but just comparing the two, the original has more of that bright and juicy character to it. And because this is more powdery, more creamy, there's more depth going on with this one, it just kind of leans in that direction a bit more for me. It's not often that I will bring in flankers into my collection because I try to avoid being redundant, but when something is such a strong, intense love for me, I justify it. And I so love the direction they took with the Exclusif. I'm like, I want both. Next up is Ormaie 1812. This is a very niche style fragrance and screams Parisian perfumery. It's definitely got an interesting duality for me because on one hand, I smell like a rose scented vintage makeup powder element, and then on the other hand, I get this very bright, juicy, tart, youthful, fruity character, and that's coming in from a tart cherry and lychee, and it has a bit of a candied quality to it, a little bit candied and then also juicy fruity. The candied part gives me like sweet tart candies specifically, so it's powdery from those purple florals, and it really doesn't go too heavily into kind of like that vintage territory. I am very particular with that. That can quickly become a hard no for me. It's not too strong of that, but I'm just saying there's for sure an element of that. Like a little bit of this classic feel, but reworked into something very different. Like I haven't smelled anything quite like this. It's a very transportive scent. The imagery that comes to mind for me is a little ballerina music box. It smells like there's an almond dusting in the mix. It's a very creative, artsy brand. They create very unique, original fragrances. And this is incredibly strong as well. You only need a couple sprays because it lasts all day with a strong projection. This is another romantic rose perfume, Lettres de Pushkar from Lancome. Romantic and flirtatious. If you're into your jammy rose perfumes, or even if you haven't found one that's quite hit the spot for you yet, this is the best one I have found. This is, I mean, I've said this before, but it is literally like the gold standard for me of a jammy rose perfume. This rose saffron is like silk, silky smooth, but jammy and sweet, with a warm, likable, inviting depth. The flirtatious, sultry character is very obvious in this one. There's spices in here, cinnamon, nutmeg, and saffron, but I don't smell this and think like, oh, this is a spice bomb, apart from the saffron. The saffron is very prominent. But those other notes give it more so an inviting warmth. It's grounded with patchouli, but this is not like an earthy patchouli. I think it's one of the best from her line, and I get all day wear with a moderate projection. And then I would have to say that my top, most sultry, most seductive, sexy rose would be Hibiscus Mahajad from Maison Crivelli. She is in a league of her own. Very bold, powerful. As I noted earlier, lychee and rose is a very popular combo, and in here we've got hibiscus and rose. And the hibiscus still provides a fruity undertone, but just takes it into a different direction. You're getting the smell of an authentic hibiscus tea with luscious, sexy rose. There's a beautiful, creamy vanilla, adding such a yummy sweet factor, and then it's grounded with leather, cassis, and mint. Both the leather and mint are not loud to my nose, but it adds a nice depth, a bit of unique edge to the scent. The mint just provides a subtle cooling factor, but I definitely get rose, hibiscus, vanilla, and cassis the most. And this is beautifully strong. This is extrait de parfum concentration, lasts all day, projects. And that completes my list for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. If you want to see me in any more videos, I'd appreciate it so, so much. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!